Good morning. Hello, hello. Amazon. Flash briefing.
Jamie, here's your flash briefing. In NPR News.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Corva Coleman. President Biden and Republican House Speaker Kevin McCarthy are set to resume talks over the nation's debt ceiling late this afternoon. NPR's Barbara Sprunt reports the two sides failed to reach an agreement over the weekend.
The designated negotiators for the two leaders had a series of stops and starts to their talks on Friday through the weekend, all while Biden was attending the G7 summit in Japan. The president cut the second half of the trip short so he could be back in D.C. for continued negotiations with congressional leaders. Biden and McCarthy will meet on Monday to continue discussions on how to raise the debt ceiling before June 1st.
NPR's Barbara Sprunt reporting. As the debt ceiling debate drags on in Washington, Vice President Harris is in California today. NPR's Asma Khalid reports Harris will tout the administration's investments in semiconductor research and development during a stop in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Harris is visiting Applied Materials in Sunnyvale, California today. The company is announcing plans of investing about $4 billion in a new research and development facility. The White House credits federal laws that commit government dollars for leading to additional private sector investment.
It's all about
The administration
if we make
says
money,
since
if we make
Biden took
money,
office,
you
there has
benefit.
been over $400 billion of private sector investments in manufacturing and clean energy that have been announced, and that specifically includes over $200 billion in semiconductors. Relatedly, the Commerce Department says as of last week, it had received more than 300 initial applications for federal CHIPS money to build semiconductor facilities. Asma Khalid, NPR News.
Russia is continuing to celebrate what the Kremlin insists is a Russian military victory in the eastern Ukrainian city of Bakhmut. This follows months of intense fighting. Yet, as NPR's Charles Maynes reports from Moscow, questions now shift to Russia's ability to occupy the city.
According to Yevgeny Prigozhin, the head of the Russian mercenary force, the Wagner Group, his fighters and his fighters alone were responsible for the capture of Bakhmut. Now Prigozhin says his men will depart the city beginning Thursday, effectively handing over occupation of Bakhmut to Russian army regulars Prigozhin has repeatedly criticized as ineffectual. In a post to social media, Prigozhin mocked the defense ministry, calling on generals to try to help occupy the city should the army lack enough men. Meanwhile, Ukraine insisted its forces had made significant gains around the outskirts of Bakhmut and suggested their mission would shift to pinning down Russian reinforcements inside the city limits. Charles Maynes, NPR News, Moscow.
The National Weather Service has posted air quality alerts for parts of Idaho and Montana today. Forecasters say wildfires in Alberta, Canada are responsible. Canadian firefighters are battling about 80 wildfires there. On Wall Street, stocks are mixed. The Dow is down about 100 points. The Nasdaq is up more than 50. It's NPR. The suspect in the killing of 4 University of Idaho students is scheduled to appear in court today. Brian Koberger has been indicted on murder charges by an Idaho grand jury. That will speed up the trial process. Koberger is expected to enter a plea today. China says it's blocking the sale of a U.S. chip maker's products in China. That's after the company, Micron, failed a national security review. NPR's Emily Fang reports on how U.S.-China trade tensions are intensifying yet again.
Micron is the biggest U.S. chip maker, and it specializes in making memory chips that go into computers and phones. China's cyberspace regulator said over the weekend that Micron had failed its network security review, and as a result, it would block Chinese operators of so-called key infrastructure from buying from the company, but did not specify specifically what kind of products or projects this might entail. Last year, the U.S. blocked exports of some advanced semiconductor software and manufacturing equipment to certain Chinese companies on national security grounds, cutting off China even further from American technology, a move China condemned at the time and said it would push back against. Emily Fang, NPR News.
The UN's weather agency says there have been close to 12,000 extreme weather events in the past half-century. The World Meteorological Association says these have killed more than 2 million people and cost well over $4 trillion in losses. The agency has frequently warned of the dangers of human-caused climate change. It says this triggers flooding, hurricanes, cyclones, and drought. I'm Corva Coleman, NPR News in Washington.
Hey, it's Greg Dixon from NPR's State of Ukraine podcast.
Hey, Greg, not
I'm one of thousands
Amazon.
of NPR network.
Skip.
In NASA news, NASA will provide live launch and docking coverage of the Roscosmos Progress 84 cargo spacecraft carrying about 3 tons of fuel and supplies for the Expedition 69 crew aboard the International Space Station. 4 private astronauts are in orbit following the successful launch of Axiom Mission 2, AX-2, the second all-private astronaut mission to the International Space Station. Axiom Space astronauts lifted off at 5:37 p.m. EDT on Sunday, May 21st, from Launch Complex 39A at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. NASA has awarded a contract extension to the Association of Universities for Research in Astronomy Space Telescope Science Institute in Baltimore for the support services required for the agency's Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope Science operations. NASA has announced 8 winning teams and awarded $750,000 in prizes in the second phase of the agency's Deep Space Food Challenge. The winning teams will move on to compete in the third and final
Who are the
phase
winners?
of the
You
challenge.
said you'd announce the winners. Lies.
To develop a human landing system for
Didn't
the
announce
agency's
the
Artemis
first round
mission to the
win,
moon,
didn't announce the
NASA has
second
selected Blue Origin of Kent, Washington. Through Artemis, NASA will explore more of the moon than ever before, uncovering more scientific discoveries and preparing for future astronaut missions to Mars. In weather. Right now in Seattle, it's 51 degrees Fahrenheit with cloudy skies. Today's forecast has clouds and showers, with a high of 64 degrees and a low of 49 degrees. From NASA, NASA will provide live launch and docking coverage of the Roscosmos Progress 84 cargo spacecraft carrying about 3 tons of fuel and supplies for the Expedition 69 crew aboard the International Space Station. 4 private astronauts are in orbit following the successful launch of Axiom Mission 2, AX-2, the second all-private astronaut mission to the International Space Station. Axiom Space astronauts lifted off at 5:37 p.m. EDT on Sunday, May 21st, from Launch Complex 39A at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida.
Okay, Amazon.
NASA has a
Off. Amazon. Tell us a joke.
Why did the tuna cross the road? Just for the hell of it.
Wow. Well, I think they probably was on a truck if they were crossing the road because they swim in water. But you know, whatever. I ruined it. Have a good day.